That looks better, huh? That cleaned up nice. Don't hate on me for being elitist by having a blast cabinet. I bought that sandblast cabinet used for $125. So it's not, those are deals are out there. It's I've used that a lot. It's been a really good investment. Here's a handle. Cleaned up nice. It's really good for getting into the hard to get areas. Here's the main housing with the impeller. Cleaned up really nice. Beautiful. I think that's brass, guys. I really do. Got all that carbon out of there. I think we're ready to start putting this together. Now you remember I broke one of the washers, so I'm going to go through my granddad's parts bin and see if we can't find one without having to go to the store. So those of you who have followed my channel for a while remember that my grandfather gave me his big cabinet of fasteners that he had saved his whole life. He worked as a mechanic for Ford, and whenever he had extra nuts or bolts or bits, you know, he lived through the Depression, he would save them. And he organized them and categorized them into this huge bank of drawers, which you see right here. I pulled out 3 of them because I wasn't sure which one would contain the parts that we need. So we've got a couple small pieces of hardware. We have that little spring clip, and that's okay. We can reuse that. And then the rubber spacers, those were fine. And that these small fiber washers, one's okay. This is one that I broke. So this is what we need to find. We need to find a replacement for this one. And I'm thinking this is probably the bin. So let's dig in and see if we can't find an exact replica of that little fiber washer. I know I go on and on about this, about how important this hardware, these little hardware bins are to me and how much I use them, but you can't put a price on this. This here is gold if you like to homestead and do the things that I do. Well, it looks like there's, whoops, I think I just saw one right there. Let's see here. That's it right there. You can see there's the one that was intact. What a throwaway generation we've become. It's amazing. It's just amazing. I was reading an article that was on, I don't know if it was on NPR, that was just a couple days ago, talking about the younger generation and how unable they are, the majority of them, to fix anything. They have no ability, no understanding of how anything works. And they just have this expectation and this entitlement that just everything will always work all the time. Man, how far we have fallen. Contrast that to my grandfather's generation, Depression, men and women that lived through the Depression. And this is what you have. You have things, you treasure things. You know, even things as simple as these little nuts and bolts and things. Enough, so much that you take your time and to save them and categorize them. I don't think that he had any idea that his grandson would be using them. Maybe he did. Maybe I'm selling him short. But man, every time I dig into these, it just is it's just such a reminder of me of just how far we've fallen. You know, and America's not alone in this. You know, a lot of times you European subscribers think yourself to be superior in every way to America's, and that's maybe true in some cases, but it's not true in every case, and certainly not when it comes to being wasteful. When I was in Sweden last 2 years ago, I guess it was, my host thought it would be interesting to take me to their huge recycling center where people would come, and basically it was a dump. People would dump things. It was very neat and orderly, but when I was looking in those bins, the things that people were throwing away, the wonderful pieces of equipment, things that were not broken or could have easily been repaired, was just breathtaking. I've never been to an American junkyard or recycle center that would throw such good things away. So you guys also, you got your problems as well. We're not any one of us exempt from being wasteful. Let's get back to the forge. I'm ranting again, so that'll do. So all the parts have been thoroughly cleaned in water to get all of the remaining blast media out of them, any grit that would get in the bearing surfaces. So they're really clean. I'll dry them off there on the stove, and then we'll look to the assembly. Exciting. Nothing like it. This is the fun part. Restore something like this. You saw it before. Doesn't look the same now, does it? So before we do anything, we want to make sure we get some good oil in there. We remember we're unable to remove that impeller from the shaft. So what we'll do is I've got some real good high quality 30 weight, and normally I'd put grease in here, but I'll just put that in there, lubricate that, and we can see this spins really nice now, nice and free. Okay, I'm also, for putting the gears together, I'm going to be using Bel-Ray. This is my favorite grease, Bel-Ray Waterproof Automotive Marine Motocross. I started using this when I rode motocross bikes, and it's really, really nice grease. We're going to be using that for the assembly as well. So first thing we need to do on our little gear here is put our new wear washer on there. What those are for is it's a softer material. So this will be, is a sacrificial part. This will wear because the gear will be running against it. The housing will be running against it, and that will wear quicker. So the waterproof grease, we'll want to make sure that we want to coat those gears really good. You know, we'll just pack it in there. You don't want to go crazy with it and get an excess of grease, because all that does is it just collects dirt. You know, and dirt, you get too much grease, dirt forms a grit which wears the metal apart. And we'll also coat the inside of these and pack a little bit of that grease down in that bearing surface there, just like that. Again, make sure any place that is going to be rubbing we'll put in there. And it wouldn't be a bad idea every couple of years or so to pull this apart and re-grease it. All right, so our first gear here, we've got our wear washer there. We've got the original rubber that's in good shape. So this is also a wear surface, so we'll coat that. Nice thick coat of grease on that. And then on these gears, I want to pack this in. This is a heavy grease, and it does cause a little bit of friction, but it really stays in place good. And that's what we want. You know, this isn't running an oil bath, but see how I got that packed in there like that? That's what you want. And this here also is a bearing. We'll go on a bearing, so I want to have that like that. Okay. Coat the outside of these. You can see anywhere they rub, you just put some grease on there. Now these gears will mesh right here. There we go. Like that. Okay, so next up, I believe, is this guy. It's going to be fun to get this going, isn't it? And make something with this. I wonder how long it's been since it ran. Paint. So I'm going to paint the outside of it. I'm not going to paint the inside. From what I gathered, I think that it originally, when it was manufactured, it was not painted on the inside. I saw no residual paint whatsoever. However, on the outside, I do want to paint it, and I'm going to leave that up to you guys to help me pick what color. I'm thinking either black with white or silver. You know, the writing that says Buffalo Forge on it and all that. We'll highlight the writing, or maybe even Mrs. Wranglerstar recommended we do red. I don't know about that. How about silver? Silver with black, or even white wouldn't be bad, like a cream and off-white, kind of that old-fashioned white. Okay, so we've got that all coated really good. Put what color you think in the comments, and whatever the majority is, I'll order some high-temperature heat paint from Amazon, and we'll paint the outside. But I'm gonna paint it after it's all assembled. This is not going to be in the weather, so I'm not going to worry about it rusting on the inside. Okay, we got everything greased up real good. Now this is our carrier here. You can see this is the other end of the bearings. There's the brass portion, or bronze, whatever. So we want to make sure that we get grease in there on the surfaces and packed in, and you know, a little goes a long ways here. So, and see that's also a bearing in there. So we want to pack that in there. Okay, I think we're ready to install everything. Double check that we've got all of our rubber and our new washers on there. Those are all on there. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grease from this side as well. I'll put a little in there. And it wouldn't be a bad idea to smear that around and get that worked out in there a little bit. That's nice. Okay, so if we have this assembled correctly, this should all go back down in here. Oh, nice, look at that. That is nice. Okay, so we'll just double check everything, make sure it's all functioning properly. We can see here, see the gear reduction. So what we want here, yeah, that grease that made a big difference. That feels nice. So what we want is, you want a handle that turns real slow. If you look at this, you'll see that it's turning real slow there. And then with the blade, the impeller here is going to turn really fast. That's that gear reduction right there. Looks like I didn't get any grease on this. Let me grease this here. Hope that wasn't opportunity calling. This is the biggest. No, I guess both those gears are about the same size there. We'll get that in there. Okay, it looks like it's coated real good there. Okay, so now you can really see the mechanism. You can see how those wear washers are, why those are important. Yeah, it's turning beautifully. It's just silky smooth. Oh, it's nice. I think we can put the cover on.